The Rams fill all of their needs in this 7-round mock draft. We have 3 receivers the Rams should consider drafting. And when did the Rams start talking to Davante Adams? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, subscribe to the fastest growing Rams YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, drop your comments down below. What do you want to see the Rams do with their first pick in the draft? My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Dodgers Nation, SI, Bleacher Report. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. And on today's show, we're looking at a 7-round Rams NFL mock draft. We have 3 receivers the Rams should consider drafting. And when did the Rams start talking to Davante Adams? But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL to use $20 off your first purchase. Okay, so the draft is coming up very close here, and just like that, the Rams are going to have an opportunity to see if they can hit once again. Last couple seasons, the Rams have absolutely crushed it in the draft. A few years ago, getting Puka Nacua with the 5th pick in the 4th round, but also before that, going out there and getting Kobe Turner and Byron Young and Steve Avila, just to name a few. Then last year's draft, you hit big with the defensive rookie of the year in Jared Verse, someone who led the league in pressure as you trade up for Braden Fisk. He certainly is someone that has a lot of promise. Jordan Whittington, you get later in the draft that looks like he can be a receiver that's going to play a role for this team for years to come. You get Bo Limmer in the 6th round that played center for this team down the stretch after Jonah Jackson didn't quite work out. So the point is the Rams have done very well in the draft for the last couple of seasons. In fact, if you're wondering how you avoid a massive rebuild, a down-to-the-studs rebuild, well, you look at what the Rams did. It was a masterclass by Les Sneed and company the last couple of seasons, and that has put themselves in a position to continue to pursue a Super Bowl championship with Matthew Stafford. That's why he's back. That's why he didn't leave, because if the Rams had whiffed in the last couple of drafts, they would not be in a position to contend, but they are, and this is a very important draft because if they hit again in this draft, then they can make some luxury moves. Maybe you draft a quarterback early or later this year or next year, or you use some of that draft capital to get a win-now piece. So let's take a look at a 7-round mock draft. Now, we're going to do a very, very in-depth one later this week for my personal picks, and I've been working on that for a couple weeks, but I wanted to break down one from Pro Football Network's Brentley Wiseman. He released a 7-round mock draft, and he predicted the Rams to go very offensive heavy early on, and it definitely addresses a lot of key positions. So let's go down the list and take a look at his picks for this draft. Round 1, he's got the Rams taking Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. Now, if Kelvin Banks was available at 26, I certainly would be absolutely thrilled with this pickup. Les Sneed was recently in Austin at the Longhorns Pro Day. He looked extensively at Kelvin Banks. And the Rams, they need to shore up this offensive line. Rob Havenstein, he has been with the franchise since the St. Louis days, and his career has more yesterdays than tomorrows. He's not going to be here forever. So I think Kelvin Banks Jr. would be a sensible pick. We saw a few years ago when you took Steve Avila towards the top of the 2nd round. So the Rams aren't afraid to take an offensive lineman early if they think he's the best player. Another guy that could be available at that spot is Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, which is a possible good fit as well. I think that he played very well in his pro day. He did well at the at the Senior Bowl. You saw some of his reps against Abdul Carter. Very impressive by Connerly. And then round 3, pick number 90, he's got the Rams taking Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. So this is a really interesting pick to me because really, if you do get a wide receiver and an offensive tackle in your first couple of picks, that definitely is a route the Rams can go for sure. And it would certainly address some things because right now you just have Davante Adams and Puka Nacua who came back, and you also re-signed Tutu Atwell on a 1-year deal. So Tutu Atwell might not be back after next season. Davante Adams, no guarantees, will be back after this season. And I think Savion Williams is really good. I mean, he's someone that certainly has a lot of speed. People have called him a freak of nature. He is someone that has been kind of overlooked by draft circles. He's kind of been compared to DK Metcalf as far as his physicality. I've seen him mocked as high as some wide receiver 5s. So, yeah, I think that Savion is someone that could play receiver at a high level, and you're looking at, too, the ability to just be big and be physical. He's 6'5", 225. So definitely a lot of upside there. If things work out for him, his ceiling is extremely, extremely high for sure. Big receiver, 50-50 balls. You got the body control, the physicality. He had 11 runs of 10-plus yards and an 88.9% contested catch rate last season. So I really like the idea of Savion Williams if he's available at the number 90 pick. Gets the yak, gets the long plays. He definitely feels very DK Metcalf-ish. And also, he's fast. I mean, a 4.4 40 in good hands. It's kind of crazy that he's kind of where he's at, but definitely see the potential there. Then with their number 3 pick, their third pick in round 3, pick number 101, they've got Denzel Burke, cornerback out of Ohio State. Now, Denzel Burke has had his ups and downs with the Buckeyes, but the talent has always been there. Denzel Burke at one point was graded out as a first-round talent. We know that the Buckeyes have seen themselves as wide receiver U, as cornerback U for the last decade plus. I mean, you've had great cornerbacks come out of Ohio State all the way dating back to the Sean Springs of the world, Antoine Winfield, lots of great cornerbacks, Malcolm Jenkins, a safety. So they've always really put really solid cornerbacks in the NFL. And Denzel Burke, high upside, comes from a great program, has really been training himself for the NFL level since day one. That's always been the goal for him. So you get 3 positions of need: offensive tackle, wide receiver, and then you get Denzel Burke, a cornerback. And then round 4 pick number 127, you got Smail Mondon Jr., linebacker out of Georgia. So the Rams, they definitely need to upgrade their linebacker play. Christian Roseboom gone. You got a linebacker room that was average when they were at their best last season. And yes, the linebacker position isn't as important for the Rams. That's not something that schematically is what Chris Shula is known for, but you definitely want quality at the position. Ernest Jones is gone. You have a defense that is strong on the defensive line, strong on the edge rusher spot, strong on the safety spot. The weaknesses are linebacker and cornerback. So with their first 4 picks, you get a cornerback in round 3 and you get a linebacker in round 4. I think that you look at the tackle spot and the receiver spot, those are 2 premium positions that it's going to be difficult to find quality in later in the rounds. So I'm totally okay with finding that linebacker out of Georgia. I mean, look, Georgia, that's the pedigree, right? I mean, that's the talent. Georgia has a lot of NFL talent. They have ever since Kirby Smart took over, even before then, quite frankly, but he just took it to a whole nother level. And look at what they got for Omar Speights. Last season, Omar Speights goes from Oregon State to LSU, SEC linebacker, shows that raw talent and those flashes of potential in year 1. So I certainly like the idea of Mondon Jr., out of Georgia, round 4 pick number 127. And then the Rams are just making sensible picks. They're making picks that scream, okay, it's about filling needs that can help this team win a championship. And you look at the players, those are all guys that they're really rookie veterans, right? Guys that have played a lot of high-level college football, guys that come from programs that are major conferences that have competed for titles: Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, and then TCU has been a program that has been that CFP mix for the last couple of seasons. They've played a lot of meaningful football, and to me, it's always something that's carried a lot of weight. Playing in big games, playing in front of hundreds, thousands of playing in front of crowds of 100,000+ fans. That to me is always something that stands out, because when you get to the NFL, it's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of social media, a lot of fans, and you definitely want to be able to have success on the highest level to be able to deal with that. I mean, you can come from smaller schools too. I'm not saying it's not possible. I got a guy coming up that's from a smaller school, but I definitely like these picks: Kelvin Banks, Williams, Burke, and Mondon Jr. That would be a solid first 4 picks for the draft. But coming up next, we're going to run through the next 4 picks of this draft, and then we're also going to talk about some wide receivers the Rams could take as well. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, join the party and subscribe to the YouTube channel. On the podcast, we love the podcast listeners as well. If you're driving around in your car, definitely listen on the podcast and drop a comment and a review on podcast form, and we will read on the show. Also, drop your comments on YouTube, and we're going to feature them on our weekly mailbag episode that happens later in the week. Also, just a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching, listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. You are what makes this show go. This is the perfect time to become an everyday listener. All you have to do is watch and listen to every single episode, and then you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. Okay, so let's dive back into this mock draft, and the Rams continuing to add and continue to address needs, but this is a little more of a luxury. This next pick, round 6, pick 190, Donovan Edwards, running back out of Michigan. Now, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be a storyline? The Rams adding Donovan Edwards, and he joins his former Michigan teammate that they won a national championship with a couple of seasons ago in Blake Corum. Now, Donovan Edwards, ton of talent, ran a 4.45 40 at the NFL Combine. And if you see him in that Deuce Staley drill, he looked phenomenal in that. He's someone who can work across leverage. He can break tackles. He's someone that definitely has a ton of talent. Is he this big superstar running back that we thought he was going to be at one point? I wouldn't say that. He did have a 9.78 relative athletic score. That is out of 10. That's 45th out of 1,976 running backs from 1987 to 2025. So the relative athletic score, you got the 40-yard dash, the 20-yard split, the 10-yard split, the bench, the weight, the height, the vertical, a lot of factors that are combined. And his 9.78 out of 10 is 45th out of 1,976. That is a little surprising and very impressive. Question is there too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Too many cooks in the kitchen with Blake Corum, who we didn't see get the opportunity that we expected him to have last season. you got to throw another guy in that mix. Then what does that mean for Blake Corum? What does that mean for Kyron Williams? So, look, I mean, the Rams showed last season that if a quality running back is there for the taking, they will select him. So this one's a little bit of a surprise, but based on last year, nothing would shock me. Then coming up, round 6, pick number 125, Connor Colby, offensive guard out of Iowa. Iowa has a history of producing offensive linemen. The Rams can use more depth at that position. You look at the guard spot right now, you got Avila, you got Dotson. They're pretty set, but you could use some more depth. Then round 6, pick number 201, Elijah Williams, edge out of Morgan State. So Elijah Williams, if you read up on him, he's kind of a little bit of a sleeper pick right now. We talked about big colleges, big brand name schools. He certainly doesn't come from that, right? But he's someone that's, hey, you look at, we just brought up relative athletic score. He had an 827 out of 10. That was 351 out of 2022 from 1987 to 2025. He's someone that is going to turn some heads just because of the pro day he had. And look, I think he won the defensive player of the year in the meat conference, right? He's definitely someone who wreaked havoc there. If you look at his highlights from the Legacy Bowl, clearly talent, clearly some edge pressure that he brings. So late in the round, you're seeing a drop off in quality, but he's someone that could be a little bit of a diamond in the rough. And I always kind of wonder, a guy like this, if he had that same level of production, if he had those same level of highlights, but he's in an Alabama helmet or LSU helmet or something like that, how would his stock be different? So that's something to consider. So I am all for the small school late bloomers. I mean, Cooper Kupp, Eastern Washington. I mean, the list goes on, right? And then round 6, pick number 202, J.J. Pegues, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. So I start by saying defensive tackle, but did you know that Pegues had 7 rushing touchdowns to end the season? He also had 55 snaps in pass and run blocking situations. He's probably one of the best overall prospects. Offensive defense. Is he Shohei Ohtani for football? I'm not so sure about that, but he would be drafted for what he can do on the defensive side of the football. And Pegues was in the 80th percentile or higher in pass rush get off, pass rush finish, run pursuit get off, and run pursuit finish tracking metrics for 2024. So some of the advanced stuff really likes him. He's a big dude, 310 pounds. He's someone that can do fullback drills, can make catches out of the backfield. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome to see him on the goal line? It'd be pretty fantastic. He's just a big dude. I mean, at 1.62, 325, 7 TDs, just an absolute weapon. So, yeah, look, I just want to point this out right here. J.J. Pegues might be the best ever, if not the GOAT of all D tackles, fullbacks, and tight end combinations. Has there ever been a better D tackle, fullback, tight end combination in the NFL draft? I'm not so sure, but he did really well in D lineman drills. He was solid in fullback and tight end drills at the NFL Combine, and teams are very intrigued by him, and there was some talk of the Combine that teams would be interested in using on both sides of the ball. So give me J.J. Pegues. I'd be kind of surprised if he was still available at this point. A little undersized at the position for sure, but I mean, not necessarily really. I mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? So, or just, I would say, kind of interesting sized at both positions, kind of the way it is framed. So, J.J. Pegues is a very intriguing prospect. So, looking back at this mock draft, the Rams fill a ton of needs. You get wide receiver, offensive tackle, cornerback, linebacker. So, just to recap, round 1, Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. Round 3, Savion Williams, wide receiver, TCU, pick round 3, pick 101. Denzel Burke, cornerback, Ohio State. 4th pick in the 4th round, 127 overall. Samion Mondone Jr., linebacker out of Georgia. Then round 6, the 5th pick, Donovan Edwards, running back, Michigan. 7th pick, you got corner Colby, offensive guard, Iowa. And then you have Elijah Williams, edge, Morgan State. And then last pick, round 6, J.J. Pegues, D tackle out of Ole Miss. So, yeah, the first 4 picks, you're filling positions of needs. Banks was a really good tackle, playing the SEC. He would start as a backup. Williams, big, huge receiver, 6'5", 212, 14 touchdowns in the last 3 years. You give an explosive playmaker an opportunity, a red zone threat, a contested catch warrior. Burke started 4 years with the Buckeyes. He would give the Rams some boost as far as just a guy who's experienced early on, somebody who contribute. Mondon Jr., he's fast, he's explosive. He can get to the quarterback as well. After that, I mean, Edwards, backup running back, he definitely did not meet expectations as far as someone who looked like he was going to be a higher pick at one point in his career. In 2023, had a 990-yard, 7-touchdown season. 2024 did not put up numbers close to that, but still, he's a big running back, too. I mean, a 6-foot running back would be a different look for him. And then you got Colby, the lineman out of Iowa. I mean, you got experience at both the guard spots, and he has experience at right tackle. He had 52 games of experience in 4 years of Iowa, so another guy that's played a lot of football. Williams, undersized edge rusher, but he was dominant with 30-plus sacks and 50-plus tackles for loss in 4 seasons at Morgan State. Like I said, a lot of production. Pegues is another multi-faceted type of player that we talked about, that 10 sacks in the last 3 seasons. So, yeah, this would be a fun draft class. And it's just kind of the main point of all this, too, is just to give you a general idea of where the Rams could be looking. Offensive tackle early, receiver early, first or second picks, and then linebacker, cornerback. So those could be the 4 positions, unless there's high value there. And then yesterday we talked about cornerback too, as far as Jackson Dart, and the quarterback position is something that you always have to consider depending on who's falling into your lap at those picks. But coming up next, we'll look at a couple more receivers the Rams could consider in the draft. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. The fact that Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essentials and amino acids, is one of the big reasons why I go for this snack every single time. They taste good, they make you feel full, and they're good for you. Now, how these little green wonders pack a protein punch. No shells, Wonderful Pistachios for that grab and go ease. The satisfying crack of opening each shell, it's like snack medication. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Okay, so here in the third segment, we're going to continue to look at the wide receiver position and could drop a couple more names the Rams could consider either early, but with their first couple of picks, guys that would address a need. First guy we'll talk about is someone we've talked about pretty extensively on the show, and that is Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. He could be a late first-round pick, could be available at 26, could be available in the second round. Unless the Rams are looking to trade up for someone, he's someone that could be available. He is fast. He's got great production in his career. He's great footwork. He's got great route running ability, and he would fit Sean McVay's offense, and he would fill a role, right? I mean, someone that would play a role with Puka Nacua and Davante Adams on the outside. You could use Golden in that spot. Now, next guy, Xavier Restrepo out of Miami. Now, with Cooper Kupp gone, the Rams don't have that slot receiver that they have taken advantage of for so many years. And Restrepo, he really looks and feels like a Rams receiver. You have Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington. they definitely have the potential to help this team. But Restrepo, he's someone that in college, man, he was very productive. He was great in short intermediate routes. The Rams, they definitely want to have someone in that slot that they can trust and give Matthew Stafford an option there. I love Xavier Restrepo. When I look at his film, when I look at his tape, he's someone that's very, very productive, and he looks mature, looks like a veteran already, and I just think he would eat in this Rams offense, especially with the talent that is surrounding him. And then you got Efton Chisholm III out of Eastern Washington. Wait a second. A receiver out of Eastern Washington. Where have I heard that before? That's right. Cooper Kupp. Hey, why not go back and tap into that Eastern Washington receiver greatness? Chisholm is someone that can take over and try to fill those shoes of Cooper Kupp. And no one's going to fill the shoes of Cooper Kupp, especially when he was at his best, but someone that would be a late round pick. He's definitely a little bit of on the shorter side as a slot receiver, but he has good hands, good route running. He can also help you on special teams as well. So yeah, it'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of crazy to see an Eastern Washington receiver drafted by the Rams after they moved on from Cooper Kupp. But hey, why not try to capture that magic once again? It would be kind of cool to see. Now, Les Sneed was on Kay Adams' show on Monday, and they talked about the Davante Adams signing and when he started having conversations and thought about it. And Les Sneed told Kay Adams that it was around the Super Bowl that reports surfaced that the Jets were going to release Adams before the 2025 league year, and that sparked conversations between Les Sneed and Sean McVay about bringing Adams into the Rams. So that, to me, says that this team was watching that Super Bowl. They saw what happened in the divisional round, and what have they done since? You have improved your center spot, which was a communication breakdown against Jalen Carter, and he gets to the quarterback, and Matthew Stafford has to rush a throw on fourth down as well. And then you get another receiver. So I like it when I hear about executives or coaches watching the playoffs after they've been eliminated, because that shows you how much their competitive juices are firing and how much they want to address any needs they have to try to avoid history repeating itself. And I think that was the spark for the Rams, is going out there and seeing this and then saying to themselves, hey, let's bring back Matthew Stafford. We'll put on the full court press there, and let's get Davante Adams back to California, back to where he's from. So yeah, I always like to hear the backgrounds of the deal, the lore of the deal. How did it all come together? And here's some more comments from Sneed. He said, it was probably the week of the Super Bowl. Sean was at the Super Bowl. I was rejuvenating in Hawaii. I like to call it, because I'm a competitor. I hate going to the Super Bowl when you're not in it. In most years, you're not in it. That was the first time where, maybe the Jets are going to move on from Davante. So I know Sean and I talked during that week, especially if we can continue partnering with Matthew, that'd be a nice piece of the puzzle to add. I think he was really, really jacked. That's what he said about Matthew Stafford. He said, Sean likes to sit with his players, walk through, okay, if we bring Davante on, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? You start thinking about chemistry of the room, and you put all the pieces together and help them work together, collaborate, and let Sean deploy the pieces of the chess table. And Matthew and that group, they have to go execute. So I know that Sean McVay was excited, and I know that even if Matthew Stafford doesn't outwardly show his excitement, which would be kind of weird considering that they moved on from his good friend Cooper Kupp, I know inside he's excited about getting the best version of Davante Adams, because if he does, it'll be his best receiver since 2021 Cooper Kupp, right? So I know that this organization is very excited. You're excited, and it's going to be an exciting year for the Rams and their fans. So let's do it, Ramley. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.